All right, hello and welcome. Brett here with clickmail.co. Okay, so in this video, we want to address the issue of burnout by talking about performance goals. Okay, and now we're going to have to kind of break this apart because it kind of depends on the size of the organization. For example, we were mentioning this multi-site campus with these campus pastors who are held accountable for more than they can actually do. Okay. So we need to have performance goals to make sure people are performing on the level they can, but also for accountability to make sure we're not asking people for more than they can actually do in reality, because, that's nonsense. Okay. Now, what often happens is we have sort of a vague job description. We have sort of a unclear set of criteria that need to be met. And this leads to what is called enmeshment. We don't know where the boundaries are between that job and this job, between this person and that person. And this creates a very toxic work environment very quickly. And so, for example, with the church, we'll just go with this church that I was talking about with the multi campuses, from on high, the leaders of this ministry, they they say, hey, we're hiring you to be a campus pastor over here. And they're like, okay, cool. I would love to be a campus pastor. And they're like, okay, you're responsible for the growth over there. Cool. And then Easter comes and it's like, okay, make sure you plan that. But also we need your help over here. Well, what? How am I going to do both of those? Oh, well, you have to do both of those. Oh, okay. And now what? Now you're performing on double time. You're over functioning. Why? Because there were not clear performance goals set out at the outset. And now we're being slowly sucked into this abyss of infinite resource drain. Pastor's only got 40 hours a week, but he's got 60 hours a week of work. We now have a major problem. Okay. And so we have to have clear expectations in our ministries, in our businesses, even in our lives. What's the vision? Where are we going? And what is it going to take to get there? That's the goal. What is required to get there? And can we actually carry that cost? Because if the answer is no, then that's impossible, right? So what do we need? We need to extend the time frame to reduce the cost, or we need to rearrange that goal to make it realistic. Like if my goal was, I want to have, again, just using finances as an example, but it's like I want to have $10 billion marketing firm in 3 weeks. Like, what are you talking about? The gap between now and $10 billion marketing firm, that's nonsense. It's ridiculous. And so the performance goals have to be based in reality. And what happens is when we don't have those clear performance goals, we just start, oh, well, we need you here. We need your help over here. We need your help over here. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this happens in business. It happens in ministry. We recently had a very large client. I told them on the front end, I said, this is exactly how much we cost per hour. This is exactly how much work. I said, you need to relay this to the client so that they know. And then we were working white labeling services with another market. Oh, yeah, no problem. We were doing this with another marketing agency. And did they do that? Nope. And what'd they do? They said, oh, gosh, that client, they're really, really strict and hard. And they're asking us to do all this stuff. We really need your help. And the answer was, hey, we really care about you. And no, because we laid the boundaries, we laid the limitations for what we can sustain and how much we can do it for. And we specifically said and put into writing, you need to tell the client that this is what it costs. And well, yeah, but they really don't like it. No, it's not my problem. I told you what I can sustain. If I am going to run a successful, sustainable Christian ministry business over here, those were the things. And this was a pretty large client. And they kept coming. They kept coming for about a month. Oh, they're really getting frustrated. They're really getting frustrated. I don't care. Like, I'm sorry that that's happening, but this is not my fault. And ultimately, they decided to get someone else. And they said, no, we really love the work you're doing. We just need someone who can do more. Okay. And what do we do when we hear that? Oh, man, how do I do more? No, that's not the correct answer. It's if I give more than I can give to that client, then I can't give it to a different client. I'm actually cheating all of the other clients by over functioning for that client because it's got to come from somewhere. And I'm not even getting paid for it. So they said we went and looked for someone else. No, I did exactly what I promised to do. What they are saying is they want someone who has less clear boundaries than I do so that they can get more work for less money. And that is what I would consider to be relatively unfair. Right. And so we need to have performance goals that say, here is your job title. It is exactly this. And this is what you're expected to do. And you need to have that on the front end when these people come in, even for volunteers. Here's what you get when you volunteer. We talk about benefits packages for volunteers in our volunteer course. And then we need to have what's required. You know, even Jesus did this. Follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. If you follow me, you have to leave everything. That's what's required of you. And you have to follow me around and live with me. And the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. And also, I'm a rabbi and I'm going to teach you and educate you and make you a minister and teach you how to be fishers of men, right? There's a deal there. And they understand how that works. And so on the front end, if nobody's willing to take the offer, it's probably because it's a bad offer. And you can go, wait a minute, how do we fix this? How do we restructure this offer that we're making so that people actually want to do it? And then when they agree to it, you're like, okay, cool. And you stick to it, and then everybody can function and nobody needs to over function. So it's these ideas of unclear performance goals that really has a negative effect. So when you clarify the performance goals, if everybody's like, yeah, we can't do that, then you need to readjust expectations for reality. So in this video, we're talking about performance goals, which creates accountability for both the individual, we'll say in this scenario, a ministry leader that's over a campus. It creates a accountability for them, but it also creates accountability for the lead pastor who's running the whole ministry, because anybody can look at that and be like, yeah, I can't actually do that. And when you have let's say six different sub pastors, campus pastors saying, that's not reasonable, I can't do that, then you obviously have to make changes. And that's not a bad thing. That is just addressing reality. So you want to make performance goals, even just for yourself. If you're running your own ministry, if you're running your own business, you set goals. In 6 months, I'd like to have this accomplished. Run it by your spouse, run it by colleagues and say, hey, does this sound reasonable? If I did this, and this, could I get here in 6 months? And if they say yes, okay, you're probably, not being delusional. If they're like, what? That seems like that's a lot. If they're people that you trust and they're also performing on a high level and they're saying you can't do it, probably you should look at it again, right? Ask people that have the fruit that you want too. So in this video, we're talking about performance goals and how to set performance goals and how to have job descriptions so that you're clear on who's responsible for what and how much is what the resources are that this position actually costs, so that people aren't confused and getting, pulled for more and more and more resources when they don't exist. This will help you to then measure what it actually costs to run the business. And I'm not just talking money, I'm saying time, energy, attention, effort, finances, all of these things. You'll know actually what it costs and you'll know if you can pay for it. So in this video, again, we talked about performance goals and being clear on what's required so that we can measure the costs and consider the cost before building the tower. All right, thanks so much for being in this video. We'll see you on the next one. God bless.